Alright y'all, this is the episode where Morty learns the hard way that love potions, genetic mutations, and Rick Sanchez do not mix well. This started as a romantic high school episode and ended with a literal apocalypse, mass extinction, and one of the darkest twists in TV history. Let's get into it. Morty just wants a date, but instead he gets a horror movie. So Morty, being the walking L that he is desperate to get his crush, Jessica, to notice him at the school dance.
Jessica?
What's up, Morty?
Instead of, talking to her like a normal person, he goes to Rick and asks for a love potion.
Maybe make some sort of love potion or something?
Morty, that's such a poor use of my time. It's beneath me.
And Rick, because he's the worst influence imaginable, whips up a serum based on Morty's DNA and praying mantis pheromones.
This is a chemical released in the mammal's brain, that makes it fall in love.
Everything. The romance gets out of control. Morty drops the potion on Jessica, and it works instantly. She's madly in love with him. Success! Except the potion spreads like a virus. Jessica sneezes. Now the whole school wants to climb Morty like a jungle gym. Then the entire town. Then literally everyone on Earth. It's no longer a love story. It's a zombie outbreak, but with horniness. And if you think Rick can fix this, haha, no. Rick does what Rick always does. He panics, makes things worse, and somehow triggers the apocalypse. Cronenberg Earth, welcome to hell. Rick tries to reverse the love virus, but instead of fixing things, he mutates everyone into grotesque, flesh-melting, nightmare creatures. The entire planet is now a David Cronenberg horror movie. Excuse me? The twist that broke everyone's brain. Rick casually opens a portal to another dimension, one where they successfully fix the virus. There's just one problem. That dimension's Rick and Morty die. Like, explode right in front of them. And what does Rick do? Buries the bodies in the backyard. And then they just slide into their new family's lives like nothing happened. Morty, standing over his own corpse, realizes his original family is doomed. He is not this Morty. Rick does not care at all. And that's how Rick and Morty introduced existential horror. Final thoughts. The saddest, most messed up episode yet. Rick Potion. No 9 Inches was the episode where Rick and Morty went from wacky sci-fi comedy to, oh, this show is gonna haunt me forever. Did Morty get the girl? No. Did he get a deep, horrifying fear of mortality? Oh yeah. Did Rick take any accountability? LOL. No. Alright everybody, buckle up. This is the episode where Rick and Morty took the concept of false memories, psychological horror, and total insanity, shook them up in a blender, and served it with a side of existential crisis. Also, this is the birthplace of Mr. Poopy Butthole, and you already know that's important. Let's get into it. The episode starts with a murder. Because of course, the Smith family is chilling at breakfast, when suddenly, out of nowhere, Rick pulls out a laser gun and obliterates Uncle Steve. Turns out, Uncle Steve never existed. He was a parasite that infected their memories, making them think he'd always been part of the family.
But I've known him my whole life.
And guess what? There are more. A lot more. The Smith family descends into madness. Here's how the parasites work. They implant fake, happy memories into your brain. That way, you never question if they're real. Because why would you doubt your beloved childhood friend Reverse Giraffe, or your loyal family butler Mr. Beauregard? And suddenly, the house is filled with 100 insane characters, all acting like they've been there the whole time. A talking pencil named Pencilvester? Sure. A muscular guy in suspenders named Sleepy Gary? Why not? How do you know who's real? Rick figures out the one rule that separates real people from parasites. Parasites can only create happy memories.
What the hell?
I figured it out, Rick! The parasites can only create pleasant memories. I know you're real because I have a ton of bad memories with you.
No bad vibes, no trauma, no regrets. So if you remember someone doing something horrible, dumb, or depressing, they're real. Which means Summer? Real. Beth? Also real. Pencilvester? Not real. Tinkles the magical fairy lamb? Absolutely not. And then they go full Tarantino. Montage of the family mowing down every parasite in sight, blood and guts flying everywhere. So after they massacre every single parasite, and it seems like things are back to normal, Beth, just to be extra careful, shoots Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Oh my God! Oh, fuck! Oh,
Wait, but
Oh, Beth!
And he was real. Cut to Poopy Butthole bleeding out on the floor. The family screams. Beth is in shock. The audience collectively loses their minds. And the episode ends with Poopy Butthole recovering in a hospital, emotionally wrecked, and telling the audience, ooh-wee, I bet you didn't expect that ending. Final thoughts. The episode that broke brains, Total Rickle, isn't just one of the best Rick and Morty episodes ever. It's a complete psychological roller coaster where you question everything and everyone. Did it give us one of the greatest Rick and Morty concepts ever? Yes. Did it also introduce Mr. Poopy Butthole, a character that would haunt us forever? Absolutely. Did Beth learn a lesson about shooting people? Nope. Alright, you degenerates. Today we're talking about the episode where Rick and Morty said, "Hey, what if we did the purge but somehow made it even worse?" And surprise, they did. This started as a simple, observe from a distance trip and ended with Morty bodying an entire civilization like it was Call of Duty on recruit mode. Let's get into it. Rick and Morty land on a murder planet. So Rick drags Morty to some random alien planet for research, aka he just wants to watch people kill each other. Because on this planet, one night a year, all crime is legal. Sound familiar? Yeah, they're not even hiding the fact that this is a straight-up purge parody. Rick's plan? Steal some cool alien tech, maybe watch some people get wrecked for fun, then leave. Sounds simple, right? Because the second Morty sees a cute alien girl in trouble, he insists on helping.
That poor girl! We have to save her!
Cool. Which, if you've watched literally any episode, you already know this is gonna backfire spectacularly. Morty learns the hard way that simping gets you killed. So they rescue this alien girl, and Morty is feeling like a hero. Maybe she'll thank him, maybe they'll fall in love. Nope. She immediately steals their ship and leaves them to die. Now they're stranded in a city where literally everyone is trying to kill them. Rick and Morty go full GTA. At this point, Rick and Morty are in full survival mode. Rick finds a mecha suit, Morty gets a gun, and then Morty just loses it. Like, full, unhinged, rampage. He's shooting people in the streets. He's cackling like a lunatic. He straight up crushes a guy under a car. This isn't the Morty who stutters and complains. This is, I've seen too much, I've done too much, and now I'm embracing the violence. Morty. And Rick, he loves it. Get it all out, Morty. Rick, instead of stopping Morty, is just cheering him on. Because let's be real, Rick knew this darkness was in Morty the whole time. Purge, Morty, purge! Scaring them. Get it all out. Let's go full murder spree. And Morty does not hold back. So after the bloodbath, Rick and Morty finally get away off the planet. Final thoughts. Morty's murder arc. Look Who's Purging Now wasn't just a purge parody. It was the episode where Morty officially went from innocent sidekick to, oh, this kid has some serious issues. Did Rick make it worse? Yes. Did Morty discover a hidden bloodlust? Oh, absolutely. Alright, today we're talking about the episode where Morty gets addicted to a death-predicting crystal and goes absolutely feral. Rick dies about 15 times. Morty turns into a dictator. The death crystal. Morty's shortcut to fate. So the episode kicks off with Rick and Morty looting an alien planet. Because that's just what they do. And what do they find? A death crystal. Look into it. You see how you die. Make a decision. It shows you which option leads to which death.
Do they kill you?
You're thinking of bullets, Morty. Death crystals show you how you're gonna die.
Seems cool, right? W wrong. Is Morty. Because Morty gets absolutely obsessed with trying to engineer a future where he dies old. In Jessica's arms. That's it. That's the entire motivation. Morty is willing to commit war crimes just to get a girlfriend. Rick dies immediately. And keeps dying. While Morty's over here losing his mind, Rick gets impaled on a rock and dies in like the first 5 minutes. But don't worry, Rick has backup clone bodies stored across the multiverse, so he keeps waking up in fascist universe, a shrimp fascist universe, a teddy bear fascist universe, a wasp universe, where everyone's weirdly polite. Basically, the multiverse is just 90% fascist hellscapes, and Rick hates it. Morty's descent into madness. Meanwhile, back in Morty's world, things are not going well. Morty stops talking. Morty starts ignoring everyone. Morty literally murders a dude, all because the crystal tells him that's the path to dying with Jessica. And the worst part? It's working. Morty becomes so dangerous that he accidentally starts a dystopian regime, all because he wants a girlfriend. Rick comes back and immediately wrecks Morty's life. Eventually, Rick, from the Wasp universe, makes it back to Morty. And what does he do? He slaps Morty back to reality. No more crystal. No more dictator Morty. No. No more fake Jessica death prophecy. And when Morty finally talks to Jessica, she wasn't even into him like that. Morty literally committed war crimes for nothing. Final thoughts. Morty's got main character syndrome. This episode proves one thing. Morty is one bad day away from becoming a supervillain. He ignored everyone. He let a glowing rock control his life. He casually committed homicide like it was a side quest. And Rick? Rick just shrugs and moves on. Because, at the end of the day, this isn't even the worst thing Morty's done. Alright, today we're talking about the creepiest episode of Rick and Morty ever. It's got sleepwalking body doubles, a full-blown family civil war, Jerry somehow being the only smart one, And of course, Rick creating the problem and immediately losing control of it. Let's get into it. Rick's genius idea. That immediately backfires. So it all starts when Rick invents something called the somnambulator. It lets you do tasks in your sleep. Night you gets stuff done while real you gets to chill.
Sounds great, right? Rick uses it to get a six-pack. Morty uses it to practice the trombone. Summer goes full acrobat mode. And Jerry? Jerry writes letters to the Tooth Fairy like a 5-year-old. Classic Jerry. But then, Night Summer starts talking back. Turns out, the Night family doesn't like being treated like unpaid interns.
One more thing. Night Jerry said Night Summer would appreciate it if everybody could rinse off their plates after eating.
What?
And they want control. The Night family revolution. It's just passive-aggressive rebellion. Night family refuses to do chores. Rick yells at them like a terrible boss. They escalate immediately. How? By taking over the entire house. The Smiths wake up trapped in their own home. Night family locks up all their food and water. They even start talking in creepy horror movie whispers.
Did you think you could stop me with this, Rick?
Halt! Demonoid!
Everyone!
And that's when the Smiths realize they've lost control. Here's the crazy part. Jerry is the only one WHO saw this coming, while everyone else got cocky with their night doppelgangers. Final thoughts. The Smiths are their own worst enemies. Night Family. Night Family is low-key one of the scariest Rick and Morty episodes ever. Rick creates a problem. The family abuses it. It turns into a dystopian nightmare. Jerry. Moral of the story? Sometimes, the best decision is to be too lazy to mess with sci-fi tech in the first place. Alright, today we're talking about the episode where Rick takes petty revenge to a level so extreme, it's almost an art form. You think you've seen Rick be cruel before? Nah, this is the one where he mentally breaks Morty for daring to question him. Let's get into it. Rick's genius plan. The fake acid escape. So the episode kicks off with Rick pulling one of his classic, I'm a genius do what I say stunts. The plan? A fake vat of acid. They jump in. The bad guys think they're dead. They escape later. Sounds ridiculous, right?
Shit! What kind of psycho? His own grandson?
Because it is. And Morty calls him out on it. This is stupid. Why don't we just teleport? This isn't even a good plan. Which, honestly, fair points. So instead of just accepting that maybe his vat of acid idea was kinda dumb, Rick gets insanely petty. He gives Morty the save point button. Basically, press the button, it creates a checkpoint. Mess up? Just reset. Unlimited do-overs.
Hey, Morty.
Hey, Jessica, right?
Yeah, hi, sorry. I thought you knew my name because we've interacted so many times.
Morty thinks he's just unlocked the ultimate life hack. And for a while, he's living. Dumps food on people for fun. Jumps off buildings like he's in GTA. Becomes a fearless, reckless, absolute menace. But then, he accidentally meets a girl. Morty's heartwarming romance. That ends in absolute horror. For a moment, this episode turns into a rom-com. Morty and this girl bond. They go on cute dates. They survive a plane crash together. He doesn't even use the reset button anymore. It's a whole, beautiful, character-building experience. And then, a single, innocent mistake accidentally hits the reset button. And boom! The love of his life? Erased. The entire relationship? Gone. The memories? Just for him. Sucks to be you, Morty. Rick's final twist. The greatest betrayal ever. But wait, it gets so much worse. Turns out, Rick lied. The save point button? It didn't actually reset time. Instead, every time Morty reset, he was just hopping to a version of himself in another reality. Meaning, Morty murdered hundreds of himself just for minor inconveniences. And when Morty realizes this, you can literally see his soul leave his body. But wait, it gets even worse. Rick gives him one last option. Either keep dealing with the guilt, or merge all the timelines back together, which means everyone remembers what he did. Every person he pranked, every crime he committed, every absolute atrocity. Morty is canceled. Permanently. And how does he escape? By jumping into Rick's stupid fake vat of acid. Begging for his life. A full circle humiliation. Final thoughts. Rick's pettiness knows no limits. This episode wasn't just about a fake vat of acid. It was a psychological horror movie where Rick gaslit Morty for 22 straight minutes. Morty had a beautiful love story. Rick erased it. Morty finally felt powerful. Rick humiliated him. Morty had a chance at happiness. Rick crushed it. Ever. And the moral of the story? Never question Rick. Ever. Alright, today we're diving into the episode where Rick casually reveals he's been deleting Morty's worst memories for years. Turns out, Morty's brain isn't just traumatized, It's a whole-ass government cover-up.
This, Morty, is my archive of all the experiences you've begged me to remove from your life, lest you go insane.
And the best part? Rick doesn't even care. Huck. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Vault of Repressed Trauma. So the episode starts with Morty losing his mind over a memory Rick won't let him remember. Rick, being the responsible grandparent he is, drugs Morty and takes him to a secret basement full of deleted memories. Why? Because every time Morty experiences something too stupid, embarrassing, or horrifying, Rick just yeets it out of existence. A horrifying mistake? Erased. A traumatic alien encounter? Deleted. Anytime Rick gets proven wrong? Gone. Which means Morty has no idea how much he's actually suffered. And oh boy, does he find out. The greatest hits of Morty's misery. Rick gives Morty a little taste of what's been erased. And spoiler alert, it's all bad. Let's go over some of the highlights. The time Morty screwed over a dying alien. Morty was supposed to help a dying creature with its final wish. Instead, he pocketed its wish crystals. Rick erased it so Morty wouldn't have to live with the shame. Wholesome grandparenting. Morty learns about true intelligence and hates it. At one point, Morty realized he was actually the smartest being in the universe, but the knowledge broke his brain, so Rick deleted it.
Probably just a smudge on the lens.
Smudge on the lens? Smudge on the lens?
Back to being an idiot, buddy. Imagine the stuff Rick didn't show us. Morty has an existential breakdown. Again, at this point, Morty is spiraling. His whole life is a lie. His worst memories have been erased. He has no idea how many times this has happened. So naturally, Morty flips out and demands all his memories back. And Rick? Rick lets him do it. Big mistake. Total mind wipe. The hard reset. As expected, it goes horribly. Morty sees too much. Morty loses his mind. Is to erase. Rick has to erase everything to stop him from breaking reality. So by the end of the episode, both Rick and Morty wake up with zero memory of what happened. Final thoughts. Rick is the ultimate memory hoarder. Morty's mind blowers isn't just about forgotten trauma. Morty makes a mistake, Rick erases it. Rick makes a mistake, Rick erases it. Reality is inconvenient? Delete. And Morty? He never even knows. Moral of the story? If you ever feel like life is weird, just remember, you might have already lived this before. Alright, today we're talking about the episode where Rick and Morty go to space therapy and somehow manage to make themselves even more unbearable. This is the one where we learn that, deep down, Morty is a raging narcissist and Rick is emotionally repressed, AF. And if that doesn't scream self-improvement gone wrong, I don't know what does. Rick and Morty have a nervous breakdown, so the episode starts with a standard Rick and Morty adventure. Except this time, they take it too far. Planets destroyed. Aliens screaming. Morty, literally curled in the fetal position, shaking. Rick is unfazed, so they decide, hey, let's hit a space spa and relax. Cause, you know, that always works. The toxic cleanse that went horribly wrong. At the spa, they go through a detoxification chamber that removes all their toxic traits.
Purifies your system.
Ooh, this guy on commission or something?
Sounds good, right? Wrong. Because here's the catch. All their toxic traits, they don't just disappear. They get trapped in a creepy goo dimension. And guess what? They weren't just bad parts, they were kind of important.
Obviously the guy I yelled at overloaded the machine.
Healthy Morty equals absolute psychopath. After the detox, Morty becomes confident Wall Street alpha bro Morty. He's smooth, he's successful, he picks up women like it's a sport.
I'm afraid I have some bad news for you. Your money's no good here. I'll get the next round, sir.
He somehow lands a high-powered finance job overnight. Basically, Morty becomes Patrick Bateman with a teenage mustache. Meanwhile, Rick, healthy Rick, is an emotional, therapy-loving mess. He hugs people. He says, I love you. He cries. He's literally the worst version of himself. And the kicker? They don't even realize what's wrong. The toxic versions fight back. Meanwhile, back in the toxic goo realm, the bad versions of Rick and Morty realize they've been dumped like radioactive waste. And toxic Rick? He wants out. Because let's be real, the bad side of Rick is also the part that keeps him alive.
And listen. Hey, asshole! Oh, man! Remember us?
So he breaks free, kidnaps Clean Rick, and starts wrecking reality. Morty reaches peak douchebag. While Rick is dealing with his own personal hell, Morty is out here thriving, rich, popular, literally dating Jessica. But then, Jessica hits him with, I love this new you, but something about it is kinda sociopathic, and that is when Morty realizes he has become an actual monster. So what does he do? He lets Rick retoxify him, and immediately, all his success? Gone. Jessica? Out. His confidence? Dead. Back to regular, self-loathing, miserable Morty.
How do you feel, Morty?
Oh, jeez, I'm miserable.
Rick versus Rick, the final showdown. Meanwhile, toxic Rick is still causing chaos. And how does healthy Rick handle it? By re-emerging with his toxic self.
I'm back, baby! Regular Rick!
Which means, all the kindness? Gone. All the love? Gone. Back to the usual drunk, nihilistic genius. And the first thing he does? Drugs Morty and drags him home. Final thoughts. Self-improvement is a lie. Rest and relaxation isn't just an episode about detoxing. It's an episode about why people need their flaws. Take away Rick's toxicity, he turns into an emotional disaster. Take away Morty's insecurity, hubris, he becomes a Wall Street psycho. Put them back together, business as usual. Moral of the story? Never try to improve yourself. Just stay toxic. It's easier.